Ciga Design have just launched a new version of their award-winning Blue Planet, and they've made quite a few changes. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what those changes are. I'm going to let you know whether I think they're good changes or bad changes. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how this watch works, and then I'm just going to share with you my general thoughts and opinions on this watch. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether or not this watch is worth $1,400. I'm actually going to start with the overview because the way this watch works is probably the most interesting part of this watch. It's an interesting looking watch as well, although there is a striking resemblance, in my opinion, to a watch that Seiko made around 25 years ago. I don't necessarily think this is a homage of that original Seiko, but yeah, it sort of works in a similar way actually. What Ciga Design have done is quite clever. They have added a module to an automatic movement, which means that the internal rotating globe spins 24 times every day, every 24 hours, but the rotating ring around the outside of that globe actually has to rotate 26 times. And you tell the time by lining up the compass on the internal rotating globe with the markers on the outside of the, well, I'm going to call it a dial. And then you line up the minutes which are on that rotating ring with that compass. Yeah, it's been said many times before, it's not the most legible watch. You're not really buying this watch because of its easy read time telling capabilities. You're going to buy this watch because it looks pretty cool. It's a bit of a conversation starter, and it was an award-winning watch. Now I'm going to move on from talking about how this watch works because that's been covered many times before, and this version 2 works in exactly the same way as the version 1, but they have made some changes. Some pretty significant ones actually. Some are good changes, some are not good changes in my opinion. They've tried to improve legibility by increasing the size of the numbers. I think that has helped to some degree, but I think the slow legibility or impaired legibility of this watch is not really down to the size of the numbers, it's more so down to the way this watch works. It does take a bit of getting used to, so it's good that they have increased the size of the numbers, and it's good that they've added lume onto this dial as well, although it's not amazing lume. I'll show you the lume degrading at the end of the video. At least it's lume. They've changed the clasp on the strap to a butterfly clasp. I don't think there was anything wrong with the original clasp, but this, I guess, is a more complex and interesting clasp, so yeah, I guess that could be considered an upgrade. I love the strap, by the way. FKM strap, really nice strap. It works perfectly with this watch. They've polished the case. The original version 1 that I received a while ago had a brushed case actually. This is the titanium version. I like the fact that it's polished actually. It has a much nicer feel in my hand. It just feels much nicer. It's really silky smooth, and I think it works better with this double domed sapphire crystal. 2 pieces of sapphire, by the way. The original one had 2 pieces of sapphire, so that's not an upgrade, but yeah, the case and the crown has been changed to a fully polished finish, and I like that. Now I'm going to move on to what is probably the most significant and controversial change that they've made for this version 2. It's the movement. Inside the original watch you had a higher beat Chinese movement that had a date complication within the movement, so there was a ghost position on the crown. I suspect they've had a lot of feedback from people saying, I don't like the fact that there is a relatively unknown Chinese movement inside this watch that's costing, well, around $1,000. Can we please have a better movement? And it looks to me like they've chosen to use a Miyota 8000 series movement. So we've dropped from 28,800 beats per hour to 21,600 beats per hour. Now I've put this watch on my time grapher and mine isn't running particularly well. It's not terrible, but it's not great, is it? What is great is that they seem to have used a version of the 8000 Miyota series that doesn't have a date complication, so no ghost position on the crown. Again, I suspect a lot of people complained about that. It does look like they've used feedback from, well, the community to make the changes to this, well, for this version 2, although I don't know if there were many people asking for a Miyota 8000 series movement inside this watch. The main problem I have with this change is I think it's a lot of money for a watch, for any watch with this movement inside it. I think movements or watches have price caps given the movements that are put inside of them, and I think this movement is going to deter a lot of people from spending either $1,200 for the steel version or $1,400 for this titanium version. I think they should have at least used the Miyota 9039. Again, a higher beat automatic movement, no ghost position on the crown, and it is, in my opinion, a movement that far more people would have accepted inside of a watch like this costing over $1,000. Anyway, those are all the changes that they've made. It's really up to you to decide whether or not they're good or bad. I'm now going to share with you what I think is good and bad about this watch. Starting with the good, well, its uniqueness. It is a conversation starter, isn't it? Nico Leonard certainly enjoyed it. It is captivating to look at. It is just so different, and it works different to a traditional watch as well. So in that respect, it is pretty cool. And there are elements of real quality with this watch. That globe is stunning. Under macro, it looks incredible. The polishing of this titanium case is really, really nice. The buckle, superbly finished, excellent strap. Overall, it has the feel of a quality watch. And the presentation, the packaging is also very premium. I do enjoy the Ciga Design unboxing experience. Their packaging, again, like this watch, is quite unique. I'm really pleased they've added some lume. That was missing from the version 1. No ghost position on the crown is a plus. That was a big complaint, I think, from a lot of people for the version 1. 2 pieces of sapphire crystal. The legibility through the crystal on the front of the watch at a tight angle, sensational. So yeah, double domed sapphire crystal on the front, which means very little, if any, distortion. Now let's move on to what I consider to be the weaknesses. Legibility. I've worn the version 1. I've worn this watch. It does take some getting used to, and it's not that easy to tell the time at a glance. The movement, in my opinion, is disappointing for the money. I don't mind the Miyota 8000 series movements in some affordable watches, but I was expecting more from this watch. 30 meters of water resistance. I don't think that's enough. 50 meters, I think, should be the minimum for this watch. Screw down case back, pull push crown. No reason why, I don't think anyway, there shouldn't be a 50 meter water resistant rating for this watch. The price, $1,200 or $1,400. Yes, I know it's unique and it's won an award and it's really cool and interesting to look at, and no doubt the machining that's gone into the globe and that module underneath that globe that enables this movement to, well, enables this watch to work the way it does, is all very impressive and very cool. But oh man, the price, I think that is going to be an issue for a lot of people. There's no denying, in terms of watches coming out of China, this is probably the most famous, the most instantly recognizable one that deserves an awful lot of credit. It's very cool. It's very interesting. Yeah, let me know what you think of it, guys, in the comments section. It's now your turn to let me know whether or not the changes are good or bad.